do some damage on that CC front as we get loaded in here. Furia and Loud, the two biggest teams in Brazil right now. As far as the offseason moves, they have both made huge statements. Robote, Tinones does the boy and Seos on Loud on the blue side, and then on the red side it is Furia, FNB, and Ranger, Envy, Natuno, and Redbird. There's been a lot of par for the course here, right? I mean, we talked about Redbird, and he's gonna probably, be roaming around with that, with Ranger, on that Xin Zhao. I want to talk about this top lane matchup, though. This is kind of Furia's to or Robo's to lose. Noah's Tay walking in, Furia on the front foot, making a statement. It's the first kill of the year, going to Envy, and the rest of the bot lane for Loud says, okay, we go this way now.
While you're introducing the teams, you mentioned that we've got Furia on the red side, and I was thinking, no, we've got Furia on the blue side right now. They are invading, and this is mean. This is just mean and petty from Furia here. They were like, hey, Tay's new to the jungle. Let's give him a warm welcome, and they literally ignited him there. Natuno is going to take a bit of poke coming back into lane, but this is the boots and 5 pot start for Natuno, so you can just pot those pots and you'll be perfectly fine. And Tay now very far behind. I expect to see Furia quickly collapse back to that top side to prevent Tay from getting the red buff and vertical jungling, and then all of a sudden Furia's off to a 3 buff start.
Yeah, this would be absolutely huge. And Ranger, right, we talked about he's a great defensive jungler. I think you're going to see him step on the gas here, and especially if Robo continues to push this lane, right? Robo's going to have that really well warded. Otherwise, this is going to go sideways pretty quick here. Tinones and Envy playing that Corki Orianna matchup as we get an insight on the runes here. First strike being taken by Corki. That is par for the course. Conquerors all around and fleet footwork for Jhin. Again, pretty par for the course here. See how Tay wants to manage to come back from this. It is going to be not as much, I guess it was technically vertical jungling as Ranger started in one place and then went to the other, but now moving over to that top side.
Yeah, and with the way these teams operate here 4x4, I do feel like it is on Furia to continue making some of these early moves here. Loud's composition skills a little bit better. Aphelios outscaling the Jhin, and Corki's range later on will be an issue for Orianna and for all of Furia to deal with here. So they need to take this early game advantage they have and snowball. We're seeing that as Rangers look in topside, but FNB already dead.
He's already down. Robo, the winner in this matchup. Our Rangers going to clean up shop here and give an assist over to FNB. Not for nothing. TPs will likely be coming right back in as FNB pops his. Again, you can't TP anywhere else but your lane for the first 14 minutes.
Yeah, so you kind of can't just try and TP on a minion, catch a wave. But now Tay trying to answer, but there's just not as much kill threat, unfortunately. Not the right set of guns. Calibrum and Severum here. You've got range, you've got lifesteal, but what you needed was damage. They did manage to push them out, though, and Tay at least won't get 3 buffed because Ranger had to pit stop on the top side.
Yeah, he's down a little bit, but Tay immediately going for that blue buff, like you were saying, and a little disrespectfully because, but again, it's pressing the advantage because even though Furia did manage to secure that scuttle, and they've got vision there. Everyone knows that Tay is there, right? Redbird got his flash forced, but Tay says, yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it. And you talk about Furia having to keep the foot on the gas, like you said. Right now, it's Tay that, in the jungle anyway, has been, he's been doing a lot with a little.
Yeah, really glad to be able to see that Tay isn't going to have a nightmare start for their first split here. But again, the pacing, right? You had to kind of react that way. And now bot side action's kicking off, and Ranger's the one who's there.
Yeah, Redbird went in immediately, and they pulled the trigger on Seos. He gets ignited, has to flash away. Ranger joining the party now. He's got red buff. If he can close the gap, the Riptide going to help him out a little bit, but Ranger flashing in. Oh, the Gravitum! It's not enough, but one more tower shot will not be able to do it. The right set of guns there for RMC, but it is Furia that walk away with the kill.
Yeah, and you know what? This is why I was talking about the Gravitum gun in lane, right? You can run people down. It also helps you disengage. Ranger actually had to blow flash to make that work, and that is a price that Ranger needed to pay for Loud here. If he gets away without burning his flash, that is absolutely criminal. And Ranger has just been on a tear. Gank top, gank bot. I'm expecting to see a gank mid at any moment now, just to, round out the collection. And if he had flash, he actually has kill threat on Tin Owns, but without the flash now, mid is not so good a gank option. Corki is too mobile, has the Valkyrie, has his own flash still up. Seos with the deep roam here.
And they know he's there. Ranger, like you said, he's trying to keep the foot on the gas. He's already got his Iron Spike whip, but Tay and Seos are the ones that get on that reset up to the top lane. The hook lands immediately there on to Robo, and Robo going to follow up here. Then not in range of the turret, like you said. The collapse there defensively from Furia was sloppy. They weren't able to execute, and they pulled the trigger when I feel like Loud were the ones that had to pull the trigger. They had to come into Furia.
Yeah, they didn't actually have vision of Ritbird initially till they popped out of the bush. So a little bit surprised that Furia thought, hey, we're going to be stronger on this particular play. And you can see right here, Ritbird did a great job of hiding. And it was only now that they kind of realized, oh, Ritbird's here too. But you can't be fighting outside the turret. You need it to be fighting within range of turret. And that was Ranger getting caught out without flash. So that flash that they managed to burn bot side, reaping dividends top side. And with that 4x4, the game is pretty much back to dead even state here. Gold is equal. And if anything, Ranger's actually behind Tay.
Yeah, let's see. Tay's trying to answer back here. Envy got a little bit of a push here. So he's going to try to help out Ranger. Now he's hit 5. He's got the smite upgraded as well, whereas Tay still needs one more. But like you said, that flash, huge. Especially since, I mean, yes, at level 6, Xin Zhao doesn't get an engage tool, but he gets a big part of what he does when he engages, right? He's still got his dash, obviously. But moving over to the top lane, Robo, he's picked up 2 kills. He's got an Iron Spike whip, and unfortunately, I think it is going to be Chemtank Akali as the Bomby Cinder comes in for FNB. Both TPs down on the top laners. Again, not that that matters too much these days, but pretty even in CS overall. And looking at the CS, it is Tay that is ahead despite those 2 kills from Ranger. Level 6, really big for both these junglers, but a little bigger for Tay as he just dings to that threshold.
You know what, 4x4, just because FNB is going Chemtank Akali, right now I'm rooting for Robo to get a couple more solo kills. To be fair, they haven't really been solo kills. We got the 1 solo kill, but the others were actually team plays coming through from Loud, and that is a good sign for this team. They are a newish team being put together. Let's not forget that here. And continuing with that trend, it seems like the focus will be topside. I kind of called for it, but I didn't expect this much pressure. Natuno and Duds are being left alone again as the supports are roaming up. Seos was looking to that top side, but the wave is not in position. And I think it's a little bit risky to call for a dive. They're going to fall back for the Herald instead.
Yeah, and FNB, he is flashless, right? But he does have his ultimate, and Robo has his as well, but I think this is the safer play for sure, like you were saying, as Tin Owns, he picks up a magic resist item. Help me out. Hex Drinker. There we go. Picking that up. And I think, and yes, I mean, okay, into the Orianna, yes, but it is going to be FNB that he's kind of worried about. Like you said, he's probably going to have the assassin build there as FNB getting away from Robo. Didn't have to burn ultimates either way here, but he's getting shoved out of that lane. That power spike is still really nice. This is when Renekton can do the most damage.
Not gonna lie, for I was blank on the name too because I haven't seen a Hex Drinker in so
it's been a little minute, yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising to see. It's not really considered for the most part a gold efficient item. Usually when we see defensive items come through for the Corki, Immortal Shield Bow has been the item of choice, the lifeline shield on that more than enough. So interesting to see this, and I feel like it's not just for Envy, it's also for FNB here saying that, okay, we're expecting to have to deal with a lot of burst magic damage to come through, and so we want specifically the magic shield right here. Now, I said Ranger, gang top, gang bot, mid is the last thing you kind of haven't ganked, and I like the fact they actually called Redbird up to try and make this play happen. The problem is it's so difficult because it is a Corki, and even worse, they didn't fully clear out the vision coming all the way through. So Tin Owns is just shading to the bot side where they know they've got a numbers advantage and ward position, and then Furia can't make plays happen. They're starting to fall behind because they're only going even, and soon enough, once Corki starts picking up that 1.5 completed item point, I just don't see how Envy is really going to start playing this lane anymore. You've got wave clear, great, but the poke from the phosphorus bombs and the missiles is going to be enough to shove out this Orianna.
Yeah, right now, like you said, this is that critical point, especially once the tier is picked up or the tier is upgraded as well. Now FNV probably going to get dove on here. Robo hasn't aggroed the tower just yet. Let's see how they execute it. The TP comes in. Envy can TP to other towers. Yes, he can. The Herald summon and the dive is abandoned. Now Herald should be able to pick up all the plates here, or at least two of them. As they try to mow down the rest of the tower, calling for help. Here come Ranger and Redbird, but Robo gets snagged by a shockwave. The Ignite comes down, more auto should do it. There goes the Dominus, the stun, and he's going to land with a little bit of damage, but Tino's not able to finish it off, overstaying his welcome just a little bit.
Before I was getting worried we were casting the wrong region for a second here. The plays have been really clean. The dives have been immaculate. I was looking at that Herald and it's like, okay, they've set up the Herald. They're going to take the turret and then they're going to go for the dive. But there's the mistake. Tay backs off when Robo and Tinones are still sticking around. They didn't have enough numbers. And now Seos is going on a deep mission here solo. But Tay and Tinones managed to shove FNB off.
Yeah, Duds the boy is in the area. And Tay or FNB rather realizing, nope, I can't. Envy had to get back to lane, right? Tinones, had I guess he hadn't shoved that way, but he was up there, and now Robo going to the bottom lane. Tinones still has that TP, whereas TP down for Envy. FNB still has his though.
Yeah, and the lane swap coming through as well. Duds the boy. We've seen Seos roaming constantly, but now they've rotated Duds to this mid lane as well. And I feel like what Loud is probably just going to look to do is now take Tinones, take Duds the boy, and start pressuring this mid lane, start taking down that turret. They've been making really solid proactive moves. When I said it was Furia who needed to make these plays, and because they've done that, they're in a good position to be able to continue lane swapping their junglers a little bit faster in the moves. And oh, never mind. They're actually resetting their lanes here. A little bit surprising, but if you're going to reset your lanes, then I want you to look at Dragon. It's been 12 minutes and neither team have looked at it. It's Brazil, I understand, but you've got strength. You need to leverage it.
Yeah, this is a really nice spike you've got here, and look, Loud's going to outscale eventually, but right now this game is relatively even still. FNB has picked up his Mythic now, and again, it is Chem Tank doing a little Mythic check. Everyone except Tinones has picked up their Mythic, aside from the supports, obviously, as well. Furia are going to start up that Dragon with the vision they had established. And with FNB, the threat of the teleport into the mid lane, again, into the mid lane tier 1, that's kind of the only place you're going to go. Loud, not really responding with a ton.
No, and it feels like Loud have spent all their energy. They're recharging a little bit. They had the numbers advantage to kind of try and siege this out. It is a little risky into a level 6 Leona with Solar Flare, but you do have the range advantage to be able to play around with this. And Gravitum with Infernum for Aphelios is not a bad gun combination for a siege situation. If you see the engage coming through, you can get the Gravitum route off, or if you get enough poke down, you just go for the Infernum Moonlight Vigil instead and absolutely just pop all these squishy members. Yes, the Chem Tank has come through from FNB, but the Akali isn't that tanky. Instead, they kind of surrender that, and it looks like now they're setting up for this bot side play. They don't know Envy's here, but no, Envy also doesn't know that everyone else is here.
No, true, and does the boy. He knows he's got backup. He goes forward. I don't think Envy was expecting that flash hook. Oh, he got it.
No way.
The flash off did Envy, but it was right into the path of the hook. Huge shutdown for Duds the boy.
What is that hitbox at 4x4? There's no way that hit, but it worked, and now they're returning the favor onto Natuno as well. The Gale Force, is it enough?
Now the flash out as well, and the heal. How about 2 summoners, a kill, and an item active? That is the price that Natuno had to pay.
That's got to be the biggest slap in the face for Furia, because that was the exact same play they just tried to make on the bot side with the shockwave, which didn't quite hit. And then in the mid lane, it gets returned onto Natuno. Now Ranger trying to, get some cams, punish that roam a little bit here, should be able to do so. And Robo needs to be wary. FNB is pushed up beyond the turret. This is a 2v1 at the very least. And now it's a 3v1 as Scryer's Bloom just goes right by.
Seos trying to help Robo retake some control of the jungle. And RMC, I was worried about a stomp, and it might turn into one yet as we crest the 14-minute mark. But so far, this has been fun. This has been back and forth, and this has been some expectations met, but some subverted as well, as the second Herald is started by Ranger. Here comes Tinones. He's got the package. He's level 11. So is Robo. Meanwhile, Envy's the only one that has hit that spike. on the side of Furia. There goes the Solar Flare. Does the boy, has to flash away. He's got Crescendum Severum. Here comes the curtain call. 1, 2, and that'll do. Does the boy is down. Herald's still aggroed. Loud look in shambles. Seos was up there trying to play some sort of damage control, and all for naught. Robo and Tinones weren't able to find their way into that fight. Furia walk away with the Herald.
Okay, 4x4. We've had solo kills, we've had dives, we've had ganks, and now we check the team fight box as well. Loud and Furia are speed running this. We're only at 15 minutes, and there we go. The package finally being used.
Tinones wasn't able to find his way into the previous fight, but he packages in and helps Tay secure a kill. Oh my gosh, and so Robo is going the wrong way. Does pop Dominus, and Redbird and Envy just say, okay, yeah, y'all got this. FNB and Ranger gonna try to chase down the Croc. But again, look, and now Redbird joining the party. Robo, let's see what they respond with, what Loud might anyway. Flash burned as well. So Robo getting a lot of value out of this. He popped the Dominus a little bit early just for that extra health regen, but FNB going to take that kill. Meanwhile, the mid-tier 1 is cracked open in response by Loud.
Well, 4x4, I guess when you're up a creek with no paddle, you just keep on going because there's no way back there. And Robo did buy a lot of time. They get the mid lane turret as an answer there. So, you know what? It's kind of okay for the amount of attention that got brought up. Loud is going to be fine with that. But I want to talk a little bit about that last fight we saw at the Herald. Definitely not ideal. And this is why I was a little bit worried about the Solar Flare from the Leona. There's no way to stop it. But the other issue was also, where was the protection for Duds the Boy? Seos actually backed out and let Duds the Boy eat the 4th shot coming through from the Tuno. And that's not what you want to see, especially from a bot lane that's played together for 5-6 years now. That sort of mistake doesn't look good for you. And Loud going forward need to be aware of that. That said, they've got a power spike coming. Tinones, the mirror mana should be completed soon. And granted, Tinones doesn't have a mythic, but Corki's okay without that mythic. He's more worried about getting that mirror mana, and once you get that, you get a lot more poke damage. You can soften them up, and then the next fight, I don't want to see Loud pulling the trigger. I want to see them play really, really defensively with Seos and Robo up front and tanking.
Yeah, they can team fight front to back pretty well, as Duds the Boy and Tinones hit level 11 as well. Tay almost there to boot. Second dragon of the game coming up here shortly. Like you said, RMC, that Solar Flare is something to watch out for. But as well, oh gosh, I had another point I was going to make and I completely forgot it. Well, that's okay. As teams jockey for position around this second dragon, trying to get some prio here in that mid lane again. The tier 1 has been cracked open by Loud. And meanwhile, on the bot side, Robo with that Unleashed Teleport can join the fight at a moment's notice. And if they do decide to go for Dragon, he's within spitting distance. And now Furia realizing that, saying, okay, look, let's pull the trigger here. They drop the Herald in the mid lane and are going to start up this second Dragon. And Loud, yeah, they got that tier 1. Oh, I was going to say they're caught on their heels, but maybe not. Dragon taken there by Ranger. They're up 2-0 in that respect. Robo in with that.
Okay.
Dominus gets big damage there. The rest of the team joining the party. Is it enough? Solar Flare coming down. Is the Tuno that walks away with the first kill. Seos buying time with the stopwatch, but is it enough? Another full shot coming through, and it's not going to find Duds the Boy. No Seos, no problem. And it's actually Furia that walk away with not only a dragon, but 2 kills.
You can't be fighting Furia in a choke point like that. And I'm just so baffled by Loud. Pardon me, Loud trying to force that fight that I thought they were saying, okay, let this dragon go. And I was going to applaud them for it. It's a Cloud Drake. What are you fighting for? It's not that big a deal to your team. You deal with the Herald, I thought would be the better call. Instead, they hesitate on the Herald. So Shelly gets a charge off onto the mid lane turret. They go for the dragon after it's gone. So they don't get the dragon. And then they pick a fight into the choke point as well, which was forced. Robo was so deep in before the rest of Loud, pardon me, could respond. So they lose on every single front. And this to me looks like teething pains. It's pretty much what we've come to expect from Loud. Strong players, strong mechanics, but questionable macro decision making. We get to see a replay. Watch Robo go in and how early he is. Literally no one can even follow up here.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, right? And then that Solar Flare comes down, like you said. It was the choke point, and then it was just, like you said, how the rest of Loud had to approach that fight. It took them so long. Tay wasn't able to get in and get off his resets. Does the Boy wasn't able to get in range. And there was only so much vision that they had. And like you said, it felt a little forced, right? Once Robo committed that TP, I think it was a bit of a sunk cost fallacy that kicked in, where Robo said, all right, well, look, I'm here now. You know, we lost this dragon. Let's let it rip. But like you said, Shelly was able to get a free hit. That dragon taken as well. And now Furia have started to crawl back into this one. It has been close the whole time. And even though Furia ahead in kills and dragons, down 1k in gold because they have 0 towers.
Yeah. Well, the good news for Loud is, as you mentioned, Furia have 0 turrets, and so they're still up in gold. Their macro has been cleaner for the most part here in everything but team fights. Even right now, you can see Robo is still strong enough that there's not a good answer from Furia. The problem is that they just need to be careful how they team fight. And we already said it before, soften them up with the poke that you have from Tinones before you really go in there. There's no need to pull the trigger. And for Furia, congrats on winning the fights. Congrats on winning the dragons. It is an Infernal Soul that is coming through here, so that could be a win con for them. But Furia need to start making proactive moves of their own other than just walking to a dragon and praying that Loud doesn't contest them there.
Well, even if Loud contests him, it hasn't been going too hot so far, so we'll see how long that's able to continue.
True.
Now, the TP coming in from Envy, just joining that fight a little bit sooner here, or the potential for a fight anyway, but no real objectives up, and I don't think either team has the firepower to take a Baron in any sort of time, unless it's after a pick. And like you said, Tinones on the Corgi's all right without a mythic, but that Muramana has come through, and now you're going to see, I think, that Luden's being built towards, right? With that Amp Tome, that's what that says to me. That's the mythic you usually go for. But now Furia seem to have stabilized a little bit of the map. They're able to take down that mid-tier 1 as well.
Yeah, and I like what Furia are doing here, grouping up and forcing a lot of these fights here. You have Ranger with you. You've got your engage option. Shockwave is up. Solar Flare is up. You don't necessarily need to win the fight. You just need to be able to threaten it. And then if it looks like it's going bad, disengage on that. And I want to see them repeat this on the other turrets. Go down to the bot lane with 4 if you need to here. Like you said, it's early on enough that, you know, there's not a risk of Baron being really taken. F&B being sneaky here.
Yeah, he wants it. And now I was going to say, Tinones has backup in Robo, but he started to recall, and Redbird jumped on him. FNB wants all the smoke, and he just might get it. It's a solo kill, assuming he survives that. 4-shot coming in. Robo caught out. Furia taking advantage of a little bit of laziness by Loud. Really proactive, good stuff from the side of Furia.
You can take Robo and Tinones out of pain, but you can't take the pain out of Robo and Tinones there. That was classic pain play. Overextensions, insufficient vision. Great ambush from FNB, though. And now that they got the pick, now Baron is on the table. FNB has Demonic Embrace as well, so can really burn this down. And FNB, Redbird, they're just zoning everyone out here.
And Loud have to be careful. They might get a pick onto Redbird, and Tay will embark on his killing spree here. Wow. But I think that's kind of all she wrote. Moonlight Vigil, not doing quite that much damage. It was the Caliber Moonlight Vigil, and Ranger's going to secure it. And now Tay Seosin does the boy. They might be in a little bit of trouble. Hold the phone, though. It was extended long enough to where both solo laners can now join in the fight. The TPs are up, and Loud might turn this dang thing. Does the boy gets out of the way of the shockwave, and my did he need to. Tay gonna chase FNB out of this fight. Furia are scattered, torn to bits as Loud wipe them off the map and negate the Baron buff completely.
Oh my, it's Ranger trying to get away, the last remaining Baron buff member of Furia here, but you went the wrong way, and Robo is going to be able to pincer them. Meanwhile, the rest of Loud here, they're just pushing. They've ignored the dragon. They care more about taking the turrets here. They take the inner mid lane turret, but they don't quite crack the inhib, and now Loud falls back for their first dragon of the game.
Worked out pretty nicely. We were criticizing the fact that Loud got picked and right before an objective, and rightfully so. We were thinking about the wrong objective, RMC. Baron Schmerin. And I'll give credit where credit is due here. Does the boy Seos and Tay, they were walking on a nice edge there because it was still a 5v3. If Furia decided to give up that Baron and just collapse, they were toast, but they didn't.
And the way that Furia kind of split was an issue too. The fact that Redbird went down before that fight even happened was key. There wasn't a solar flare to really save them when it came down to it. And so it became a bit of a 4v3, and Loud's individual picks right now, we're starting to see their scaling strengths come through. This isn't a team fighting Aphelios. It is the Gale Force with the Collector. Very high single target burst. You've got the resets coming through from Tay, and we already touched on how Tinones has hit his power spike as well. The Luden's actually completed after that particular melee there. So as long as Loud can continue to tease Furia apart, you can continue to win these fights. And you could see it because the Shockwave from Envy couldn't find multiple targets, couldn't even find the one target they were looking for.
Now, enlighten me on the build path here. You mentioned this kind of more single target focused Aphelios build. Why does the boy go into that? Is it because there's no true tank on the side of Furia?
Partially, yeah. It's very efficient against a lot of these teams. Chem Tank Akali doesn't actually build that much armor for the most part until later in the game, but hold up one second. Let's see if the fight means anything here.
Redbird goes in on a Robo. I thought Envy was going to pop the Shockwave. Instead, he pops it there.
Okay.
Lockdown Robo, and the Dominus comes out just a little too late. Curtain call over the wall. And now does the boy Tay and Tinones, can they get to Seos in time? Seos is trying to buy himself some time. The Riptide into the hook. He might get out of this, but FNB does have the perfect execution up. Both charges of that. Some poke coming out. Calibrum, some rockets from Corki. With the Severum combined, that's enough to get the disengage. And now Redbird and Furia, they're putting on the chase. But this is a little foolish. Some miscommunication here as the rest of the team does the boy at FNB. They are nowhere to be found. Redbird buying his team some time. Now the TP comes in. Furia trying to salvage this fight. Will it be enough? Envy coming in. Is the damage enough? It just might be. Are you kidding me? How do you get away with that? Well, not all of it. Does the boy with the Moonlight Vigil able to mop up a kill? Furia pulled defeat from the jaws of victory there and then flipped the script.
I'm so confused by what just happened there, 4x4. Why did Furia go so deep with only 2 members? And Loud as well. They must not have been tracking timers. I think they got dissuaded by NV showing up with that teleport, but there was nothing to fear. There was no Shockwave. If they decided to go in, they could have found Redbird and Ranger and potentially Envy as well. But as it stands, a bit of a scrap, a bit of a reset here, and the teams continue being a neck to neck. 4x4. Let's go back to talking about this build here, Collector Gale Force, because I think we've got a bit of time and I want to squeeze it in before the action kicks off again. For That's the Boy, I'm thinking right now, you want the Gale Force for mobility. It's been great for dodging out these shockwaves from Envy. It's been doing amazingly well with that. And using the Collector instead for the single target damage, there's not going to be a ton of armor necessarily built that early by FNB. It's mostly on Ranger. And if you ever catch Natuno or Envy or even FNB separated with a single Gravitum, you run them down, you burst them down. And the 4v5 is much more important than the team fight right now with the way this game has played out.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. Ooh, buffered 2 abilities in the nick of time to get away from that Solar Flare. But Redbird's going to have that up in about 2 seconds stat. I don't know a lot about a lot, but I know that Leona's ult comes on cooldown, comes off cooldown at an unholy clip. It is so fast. And with no objectives up for a while, right, with that Drake, why not? Redbird just let it rip, see if he could find a pick there. And Seos and Tinones were able to buffer their abilities at the right time to get away from that. It is that 4th Drake, though, coming up. Again, not soul point for either one of these teams. Bear not going to be up for a while either, but we might see her. Actually, that is a 0 there behind the 57. So could we see objective trades here?
Potentially to come through. I mean, right now I actually think Infernal is really important for both of these teams. You want to be stacking the damage. And as for the Baron, I'm not confident that the teams can actually push in with the Baron too much. They've been more than happy to scrap it out. And while Baron buff does give you additional AD and AP, it's not that big. And it actually probably would be largely offset by this Dragon here. Not to mention, the Dragon goes down incredibly fast. So I think both these teams will be looking to fight over that instead. Solar Flare, like I mentioned, short cooldown, probably under a minute or roughly around a minute at this point. It's already back up. So Furia, they're trying to get in position. They don't quite have the vision at the Dragon. There we go. Redbird's starting to set it up, and now it's on Loud to try and get there and start clearing vision for themselves to start poking.
Ranger, a little far forward. Tinones has a mythic, everybody. The Ludens is here, and he takes out half of Natuno's health with 1 rocket. FNB nearby as well. Now it's Loud, encroaching a little bit into the river. Everything is up for everyone. All summoners, all ultimates. This could be the one that swings the game.
It's gone.
But Loud, just walk right up, pull out the middle finger, and stab the dragon with it. That was so disrespectful. There was no contest at all, but Furia up 2 Drakes to 1 didn't need to if they didn't feel comfortable.
it's kind of weird watching Furia polls like that because they're the team with the better team fight, with the Shockwave, with the Solar Flare here. And their team is actually going to struggle to put Loud in positions where you can force them to team fight. The Dragon was a perfect place to do it. They had the vision, they had the members there, and I think they just didn't expect Dragon to go down that quickly. But that's why I said I think Dragon has to be the call here for both of these teams because of how quickly it goes down. Now, Furia can look at Baron. They just got an outer turret here. So reset, spend that gold, and start looking at Baron because that's the only other place you can really force Loud to fight you.
And it is Furia that are first to that Drake, or first to the Baron, excuse me. And some big item spikes have come in to boot. Both AD carries on 3 items and some boots. Natuno opting for the physical damage resistance there as, yeah, Tino's going to do plenty of magic damage, but guys are going to get onto the back line, right? That's Robo, that's Tay, right? Yeah, maybe Tino's gets in there with a package or something, but that's magic damage, and he's got other concerns he's got to deal with here. But a Morello also coming in for FNB, and he's got a stopwatch as well. Seos had that commencing stopwatch, but that's gone now, and a Gargoyle Stoneplate picked up by Robo. Like you said, the team fight front to back is a little better for Furia as well, but no true tank on their side, and it's not like Loud really have one either. They've got kind of 2.5 tanks, if you will, or 1.5 tanks, but Robo opting into that more survivability, and boy, do you need it as Renekton.
Yeah, we've seen Robo get popped a couple of times with his positioning. Zero vision here. Fury have done a great job setting this one up, but they're scared to really pull the trigger on the Baron. And now we're getting a bit of a face-off in the mid lane. This does not favor Furia. Trigger gets pulled. Solar Flare doesn't land, though, and now it's Loud's turn to start looking for a fight.
Now let's see. Robo, it's Robo and Tay. Those are your go buttons. Tinones, he's got the package, I believe, or does he? No. What indicator am I looking for here? I actually don't think he does. No. See. But either way, yeah, they're just going to back off from the Baron. I think that ult was really, really big for the side of Furia to start any sort of fight, including something you want to have that in your back pocket for the Baron. And Loud now responding, but again, just making sure they didn't walk into anything, because even without a Solar Flare, Furia can slice them up in a second.
Yeah, and they do have to be careful. Loud can actually burn down this Baron incredibly quickly. We saw it happen with the Dragon. Now the Infinity Edge is completed for Dutstaboy as well. They can do the Baron pretty much just as quickly in terms of being able to shred it down. And we saw a little bit of that poke situation. In fact, Dud's actually chunking Redbird earlier with just 1 or 2 autos there with Gravitum. Furia, we said before, they don't scale quite as well. And they're at their strongest point in the game right now. Envy on 3 items, Natuno on 3 items as well. If they don't find a decisive fight, and soon, things are only going to go downhill from there. And they're looking for Redbird to fish with those ultimates. Keep doing that. Like we said, a 60-second cooldown. Just keep using it off cooldown here. Even if it's only 2 members, 3 members, you don't have to catch all 5. You just need to find enough to give you an edge.
It's a 3v4 here for Loud. Tay joining the party. Now Robo wants to pull the trigger. Here comes the TP from FNB. Now it's a full-on ARAM in the mid lane, and no one wants to pull the trigger. The game's on a nice edge, RMC. The gold is dead even. The Dragons are even. Seos, Redbird rather getting shut down, and he's on the wrong side here, but they do have the range. Do Furia to respond, and Ranger and FNB know that they've got a flank as well. Loud had no vision there. Maybe that would have been risky, but I agree. On the surface, RMC, it looked like, man, if you want to go, there's your shot. Right, Redbird, no Solar Flare either.
Yeah, for Loud, every time that Solar Flare gets used and doesn't kill anybody, you go for it 100%. And I like the initial Solar Flare. Yes, it didn't quite manage to result in kills, but it did blow the cleanse from Dutstaboy. And the next time you do it, Duds pretty much has the flash, if they can even flash with the amount of CC chain that's coming down. Dragons coming up in 30 seconds. Furia have managed to manufacture themselves a window for a team fight with an edge, but instead of the Dragon, they're going for Baron. They don't know there's a ward there. The Sweeper's already gone.
Sweeper down. Yeah, no one's using it anyway. And now here comes the TP. They go, oh, that's where that is. FNB is on the backside. He's taking a lot of damage. And now Seos, this is the hook, but Robo in. Does have the Dominus. They're going to have it off cooldown. Will he survive long enough to pop it? The CC chain comes down. He's got it off now. but he's going to hold on to it. Seo's in a bit of trouble here. The ult pop by Ranger. He's still got flash, but he's going to use that stopwatch to buy himself some time. Jockeying in front of this, and now it's Redbird, Seos rather, that picks up the kill onto Redbird. Loud walk away with a member advantage. Robo pops the Dominus to get himself back into fighting shape. Seos is in rough shape himself. No summoners, but one good hook could change it all. Curtain call goes out, looking for maybe a steal with a force shot. But how about Tinones taking a bite out of Tuna with a rocket? Ranger looking to go over the wall. Robo looking to go over that, but it's Tay that locks it down, and now Ranger's in some trouble. He might be dead meat, and indeed he is. No ult, big problem. FNB joining the fight just too late. Natuno's gonna take some chickens on his way out, but holy moly, that was close. A double kill. The bird is gonna be enough, though. That Morello doing some work along with the ignite. Big shutdown for FNB. This game ain't over yet, but Loud take a step in the right direction.
It's like watching traps within traps within traps here, 4x4. You know, the way Loud went in, they started up, Furia was waiting. They had the shockwave. Envy held it the entire fight. Didn't get to use it, but while they were waiting, Robo circled back around once more, risking life and limb, and it paid off. Yes, they lose, that's the point, but you get Baron on 4 members. You get yourself soul points as well. So in 5 minutes, if you haven't cracked the base open, if Loud is unable to end in the next 5 minutes, they can always fall back onto yet another Baron, onto Soul itself, Infernal Soul, for more damage, when we're already seeing Tinones chunk multiple members for 20% or more with each missile.
This game has been so back and forth. I'm so glad that my cynicism about this is going to be a stomp one way or the other was rewarded with
True.
You know, the CBLOL saying, oh sweet summer child, do you not know us yet? Between two top teams. And even to be fair, I think last split, when two top teams faced off, we didn't really get a stomp one way or the other. I think the stomps were more, with all due respect to Furia, kind of games they were involved in where they just got run off the map.
True.
But not the case this year. And to recap on some points that we had posited beforehand, this game has subverted some expectations, but some have stayed the same. You know, Robo and FNB, right? FNB busting out the Akali. We know that Robo can play that as well. The top lane was spicy. I don't think we hit the over on 2.5 kills, but it was a lot of fun. And you were right. The jungle attention was placed up there. And we were also right. Seos and Redbird, they got involved on the top side.
Yeah, and you know what? We hit the over in that there were more than 2.5 kills, but we hit the under in that they weren't solo kills.
Exactly.
Because there was so much attention to the top side, and now there's still attention to top side as they're looking to crack this turret here. FNB on the flank, but
Robo is completely isolated. He does have dominance. He's going to pop it a little late as the Sterix goes off as well. Locks up Redbird and flashes over the wall. FNB kiting decently well, but the Infernum rather goes over, and he's going to get the kill out of Natuno. He was isolated looking for the curtain call, and does the boy in Tino and said, all right, we could just pop you guys. You know, FNB's out of the way, and Ranger, he's going to have to back off here, and now FNB backing as well. Natuno is down. One Nexus turret down as well. Here come the Baroned up cannon minions. Robo, no ult and no flash, but it might just be enough. Seos gets a good hook. That one goes wide, but he's got a couple opportunities. FNB can lay down a world of hurt, though. This fight gonna decide it. Well, not one way or the other, just one way. Ranger gets caught out. He has to pop the ultimate, and now Redbird going in to follow up. FNB looking for his perfect window. Envy needs a perfect look at a shockwave. It doesn't land, and now Redbird is down. So is the Nexus tower. FNB, do they focus on him? Do they focus on the Nexus? FNB is making them decide. Ranger is alive somehow. And now the GA popped. I thought that was it initially, but no, he just had 2 health. And now with that, FNB with the stopwatch, gonna buy Ranger some time. He goes back in. So much damage coming in from Duds the Boy. And finally, he takes care of the annoying ZZ Fly that is FNB. Envy gets a shield onto himself. Loud ignoring everything and going for the Nexus. And Robo with the disrespect throws down